What's up, guys? It's Matt Jackson and Clay Smith, and we're the Wash Bros. If you're tuning in, thanks again. And we are at the 12th episode so far this year with our new rebrand. So appreciate everybody listening and supporting us as we go on this journey together. This is going to be airing on Sunday the 27th. So we are later April. Where we're at, it's the heart of the busy season in South Carolina, and we are moving forward. So what I want to talk about today, and Clay wants to talk about, like kind of the privilege that we have to be in business. And it's almost a mindset that carries us through when we go through rough times or where we're going through times like now when we're like super hectic and super busy, and the mental side of the business can really get to us. So like we always reframe that, hey, like it is a privilege to be in our shoes and run a business and be a business owner, and kind of the mindsets we have and the way we go about business, to like plow forward and view it as a privilege as opposed to a chore, because you see online people can complain and gripe and then you get tired, and it's business is a struggle. So like the mindset to have is super important. So I feel like today we're gonna like reframe and talk about the privilege we have as being business owners. So you want to kick this thing off, Clay?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. As always, appreciate everybody listening, joining in, tuning in, Facebook Live, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening from. We appreciate you from all across the world. We have many listeners, so appreciate everybody. Showing up as an entrepreneur, like you said, Matt, is a very very great privilege. It's a great opportunity for anyone, especially if you're just jumping into it. It's a privilege. It's not a burden. It's not a. You got to make sure your mental state is there. You got to make sure that you're prepared. As I always talk about, you're setting yourself up for the spring and the winter, and the spring you're setting yourself back up for the winter. So always have a game plan. Always know where you're going. Always have your goals. Always surround yourself with the right people that are going to help get you there. And I think that's one of the big keys. You got to basically put yourself in rooms with like-minded individuals, not your just normal everyday civilian that works a 9 to 5, because the normal 9 to 5 person, they really don't understand the things that we go through daily. They think that they do. They think that they have great ideas. That's cool. I've learned off from a couple of those people too that have had great ideas, but they really do not understand the mental state, the things that we go through daily, the things that you're trying to get to. They don't understand the goals. They don't understand the cash flow problems, the scheduling issues, the logistics, making sure you're providing your customer with good quality work, good quality customer service, and you have to throw all those together. And when you're first getting started, you have to wear all those hats, and you have to figure it out. Because I know when I first started, I was just trying to figure it. I mean, I didn't know. I had never done the accounting. I had never dealt with cash flow other than my management job and sales that I had. Dealing millions of dollars. But I'm thankful for that. I believe everything happens for a reason. It's things that I had learned previously that I had applied to what I'm doing now. And I truly feel like if you are stumbling, you don't know where you're at, you got to reach out for help. You got to surround yourself with those like-minded individuals. Um, you got to listen to the Wash Bros podcast. Listen to what we say, because 9 times out of 10 we've already been there. And you got to put your ego aside. You got to ask for help. You got to learn the things to be successful.
Yep. And two, like Clay's point, a lot of times if you talk to employees, they don't necessarily, they may have a good idea, right? Because a lot of times an employee, they're like, oh, I see this is how it works in my business, but they're not directly involved with doing that action in their business. Everything's so siloed out for them. So it's like, oh, I have an idea. I could do it better. You always see the employees who are like kind of in a mid-level position where they're not doing anything. They don't have a lot of like control in that business, and they have all these ideas and they can do it better, and they're better than the boss, and the bosses are stupid and everybody's dumb around them. That's like that employee mindset trap that people get into. Now with business, like it is a privilege to have your own business, because your ideas then turn into the actions that you take, and then you can move the needle. So that's the privilege, I think, in business. Instead of griping about something for years, sitting behind a desk saying, oh man, if they were just as smart as me, they would do this, this, and this, and then like life would be easier. Like in business, that's our responsibility. So it's not just the ideas that we have or like talking about something. It's like the actions that we do every single day, how we show up every single day is what's going to determine whether we have a successful business or whether we have a bad business. And you can have a super successful business, but if you don't have teams in place, then you get burnt out. If you don't have multiple crews in the field, then you can't take on so much work. Like everything is directly, we are accountable to everything. And that's what I find in business super fun, super satisfying, but also it can be stressful. So like instead of saying, "Oh man, the burden of the world is on my shoulders," which it is, I like to reframe it and say, "Hey, look, it's a privilege that I'm in this position." Because like Clay was saying, when I was in a W-2 job, when I was an employee, I may have all the ideas in the world, but for 5 years I've been sitting here bitching about it, not getting a pay raise, not doing anything about it, and I still have my position. Like in business, we don't have that we don't have that luxury. Like if we're not showing up every day, if we're not implementing what we're talking about and the ideas that we're talking about, we're going to fail. And you got to reframe that from, "Oh my gosh, this is so much stress, everything's on me," to like, it's a privilege that I have the ability to do this. And that's kind of my my feelings and thought processes of this episode, just from like talking to a couple people this week, or just kind of experiencing it and being doing this for 5 years. Like we're in the heat of the busy season again, and in the first couple seasons when it's like, "Oh my god, I'm so overwhelmed by lead flow, I'm so overwhelmed by work, weather's messing things up, like there's so many factors." Like you got to tell yourself, "Hey, look, this is a privilege that I have, that I'm able to go about doing things exactly how I want to do it and grow a business however I choose." And that's why, like Clay's saying too, you got to surround yourselves in the right rooms. Otherwise, you're going to be, if you're sitting on Facebook all day long, and we joke about this all the time, people sitting on Facebook posting in the middle of the day. What are they doing? Obviously, they're not in the right room that you want to be in. So if you're getting sucked into that kind of toxic, negative bullcrap, it's just a bunch of time wasters, no different than those employees that we were talking about, where they're just sitting around doing nothing, complaining, having all the ideas in the world. Like getting into the Wash Bros group, like we have on our Facebook, listening to our podcast, surrounding yourselves by local competitors like Clay and I do, is why we're able to continuously level up and grow. When it seems like on social media, you always find negative people griping, complaining about how, "Oh, this economy is not where it needs to be. I'm down this year, blah blah blah." It's like, figure out who you're surrounded with, figure out like your mindset about things, and go and attack this year, because this is late April. This is when most places are ratcheting up their busy season, and we got a lot of business left. So that is my that's my 10 cents, my two
Heck
cents,
yeah.
however many cents.
However many cents we have, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and another thing, when you're an employee, you don't really you have a lot of great ideas and you're not afraid to tell somebody to use those ideas. But when you're out on your own, you're an entrepreneur, you're starting out, you're scared to you have a bunch of cool ideas, but it's not as easy to apply those ideas. Obviously, because you have to deal with the consequences. When you're working for somebody, you don't deal with the consequences if you have a great idea and it turns into a bad idea.
exactly.
So so that's the privilege can bite you in the butt, but it's still a privilege that you're a business owner. You get to do your own thing. You get to make your own decisions. You don't have a boss. You don't, but you still have to deal with those consequences. As in, if you're an employee, you don't have to deal with the consequences if you didn't come up with a great idea.
Like Clay was saying, he was managing cash flows when he was in his sales roles, or when he was in the dealerships, where your every vehicle is $50,000, $100,000. There's millions of dollars on the line. What happens if you mess up a couple deals and you lose $50,000? Like you
Oh, it'll be
may,
all right. Let's
yeah, you
make it
get a
up.
clawback of a commission, or you, worst case, you get fired. You're not going
Correct.
into bankruptcy over here like if you have your own business.
Yeah, I mean, if you make the wrong decision in business, even in our scale, the home service industry, it can get crazy. But if you make a wrong decision, I mean, you're just one bad decision from losing everything. So that's another beauty. You got to make sure you're making the right decisions. Make sure you have a game plan. Make sure you know what you're doing. Don't try to bite off more than you can chew. Um, just specifically because of the risk, right? So that's it's just a privilege. You get to make great decisions. Sometimes they work out, sometimes you learn from them, sometimes you grow from them, and I think that's one of the beauties of it. And I've done a lot of that myself, like throwing money at different things and seeing if they stick, seeing if they work. They don't work, okay, let's move on to the next thing. Let's try out the next thing. Let's see what we can do here. But you can never go wrong by investing in yourself, whether it be money, time, or whatever it may be. But always invest in yourself, always invest in your business. We're coming up here in a week. We're gonna go off to the Bahamas for 4 days. We're gonna reset before this busy season kicks in. Very very important for your mentality.
And that's a solid point because I know this past week Clay just put up like his biggest solo number week of jobs and revenue. So he's like, I didn't even have time to eat last week. So it's super important that he's baked in that kind of getaway to reset. That way he's not first week of June burnt out, like messing stuff up because he's not taking care of himself. So
Well, and that's another thing. I knew that I was having a little getaway coming up, so I didn't mind pushing myself. I'm like, okay, it'll pay off when I'm in the Bahamas. So
yeah,
yeah, so but still, it's you got to take care of yourself. Stay hydrated. I know I preach it on our podcast, but sometimes I need to preach it to myself, and we all get caught up getting busy, trying to chase money, trying to get work done, just trying to make all of our customers happy. But truly, if you beat yourself up over and over and over and over, you're eventually your quality is not going to be as good as it is if you were fresh, you were, as it was in the beginning of the season. Definitely got to make sure you keep that quality up.
yes. And again, the perspective and the mindset is this is our business. We're not doing this as a hustle. So don't say, "Oh, I'm just going to kill my body, kill myself, have no game plan and just go forward and grind and hustle without plans, without baking in like a trip here and there or time off." Because it's about the long run and we're at full time, we're at like our fourth season. So part time, I'd say like 6 years, something like that. So like we've gotten this momentum rolling so much where like it's just showing up every day, and it's boring. Honestly, it's a job. Like you got to show up every day. You got the guys come to the shop. Like it's the tasks get easier with time, and the difficulty isn't getting the work. The difficulty isn't the revenue I'm finding or this or that. The difficulty is just like not being bored with it. It's like we all got into this because we were trying to leave something and get into a better position. Eventually, how our brains work, we're going to view the same thing, that same energy of like, oh, I'm trying to find a better thing as we do our current business, like the business we build, because we're growth minded people. We want to achieve and grow and do all this and this. So like, what do you do when you're at that spot in business where you're like, man, I've been killing it year over year. Like I'm kind of like I'm feeling stale. Like I need something fresh. I need something like different. And like we we always try to like spark up our business, do something different every year to like keep it fresh for us and keep it fresh for our team and grow. Because at the end of the day, it's like you're not you don't want to replace a job that you found boring and didn't enjoy with a business that you find boring and don't enjoy. And like like we're talking about on this episode, like we can have all the ideas in the world, but unless you're implementing those ideas, what are you doing about it? And it's stuff like that keeps it fresh, and then just like keeping that mindset uh and that perspective of kind of gratitude in control the whole time, because it is easy to say, man, I created like a treadmill for myself. Like where am I going with this thing? Like I'm on that hamster wheel hustling, grinding, and then it's like we're doing the same thing every year. So it's like figure out how you can like break down your year, figure out what direction you want to go in your year, like bring on a team if you guys want to get into different types of projects, or you want to bake in a couple days here and there that you're on the truck or you're off the truck, stuff like that. But
Absolutely, 100% agree. Another thing that I've noticed, especially in our area, and if you do any networking in your area, wherever you may be from, I know, I mean, I know it's pretty common. A lot of guys in our area, I have noticed it's a trend. Everyone is working a full time job, and they're claiming they're a business owner, and they saying they're slammed. They don't know what they're doing. They're working 7 days a week. They are just slammed. If you are in that point, you need to go ahead and quit your full time job. If for your mental state, if you truly want to grow your business and you are slammed working 7 days a week, calling yourself a business owner, go ahead and quit your full time job. And I promise you, it'll be the best thing that you ever did, especially for your mental state. Because what's happening is you're at your full time job, and all you're thinking about is all the work you have waiting on you when you get off your regular job, and all you're doing is burning yourself to the ground
I agree. And say you've been doing it for 5 years in a row.
as a business owner.
What is your objective? You're if you can't outgrow your day job by pressure washing, and you've been doing this for 4 or 5 years, what are you trying to what again, if you're like, hey, look, I'm in a position in life where I'm older, I got retirement, plan. Like I just want to make some spending money. That's one thing. But if you're young, hungry, and you're trying to grow a business and you're like I'm a business owner, like this is me, you need to make that jump because you're severely limiting your earning potential and your productivity by just playing it safe. And that's almost like the worst, like in between, that lukewarm is never where we want to be. We want to be like all or nothing, essentially. Like, yeah, don't be reckless about things, but commit to something, burn the ships, and then you'll realize, wow, this is like the jump I needed versus trying to be in between two places and being average at most. Because say you have a good salary. What is a good salary? $100,000 a year. You can easily make that doing this full time. It just takes full commitment.
100%. And the biggest thing is, okay, so if you're doing it on your 3 days off or whatever, you got your regular work full time job schedule set up. Okay, if you get some bad weather, then what? Right? So what if it thunderstorms or whatever, wherever you're from, some bad weather and you can't get done what you need to get done. What are you going to do with those customers? You're gonna push them off to the following week. That customer's only going to wait so long, and then you run into a customer service issue.
Exactly. You're setting yourself up for being for undelivering quality work. And I did this for a tiny bit part time, and I remember I'd say it was like 2019. I was doing it part time, and then the same situation we're running into here. Oh well, I'm only doing it on Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, well I book out an entire month of Saturdays and Sundays within like a week of the month. So
Yeah,
like I'm telling customers, yeah, just wait for me. I'll get to you to the end of the month. What
they're
happens,
not
like
going to
Clay
wait.
says, if something comes up? Well, sorry, I'm gonna have to wait. So you're dragging these people on only to push or move something for another week or another 2 weeks, and then you're only operating on a limited amount of time. So you're kind of doing yourself, your brand, and your customers a disservice by doing it that way.
Whether you want to agree with me or not, here you are on customers' time. You are not on your time.
Exactly.
Then that's the kind of mentality you got to have. You want to make every one of these guys happy. You can be on your time. You know what I'm trying to get at. When it comes to business, you're on customers' time. You want to make your customer happy. You want to provide them great customer service. You want to do what you say you're going to do when you can do it. And
Exactly.
then if it
We
doesn't happen, you want to make sure they're taken care of immediately. You don't want to just keep pushing them off because I see this happen a lot, Matt. A lot of guys, they'll find a bigger job and they'll move everything around so they can go ahead and get that bigger job before they take care of the smaller job.
I've
And
I've seen
I
that too.
truly believe that's the shittiest way you can go about it because 9 times out of 10, as you know, I know that bigger job is only going to come around once versus that three or $400, $500 job, whatever it is, that customer, you may use them for as long as you're in business.
That's 100% the truth. And I liked how you said we think we're on our time and the customer has to listen to our criteria. If I told customers who are going on Google and probably getting a quote from you, a quote from me, and a quote from somebody else that I'm booked out 6 to 8 weeks, I don't think I'm going to get that customer, no matter how much value I provide to them, no matter how much this or that. And if you say, hey, I can fit you in the end of next week, boom, you already did the job. And we overinflate our egos in business and think, oh, these are my customers, or oh, I'm working on, they got to abide by my terms and conditions. I'm like, I'm a business owner. Yeah, but we work for the customer. It's like you get into business because you don't have a boss, but your boss is pretty much every interaction you have with customer. And like we'll have business go between me and Clay. It's like, hey, sorry, do you know anybody else? I can't wait 2 weeks to have this done, or I have a party coming up. I'm like, what we do is not that important. People have a need, and we need to fix that need by cleaning their house. So I've had plenty of times over the year where I've recommended Clay and he's run with it and they became his customers. And they may come back to me because Clay's busy and we're all just kind of borrowing each other's customers. So like by not allowing yourself enough time to service customers, you are severely limiting your ability in business. And that's like what we're talking about here. Do you want to be a entrepreneur, full-time business owner? And do you want to be like, oh, I'm the best in the upstate, I'm the best in the area? Like, are you pushing yourself for future growth, or are you saying, hey, I have a limited window and I want to be part time and I have no problem making an extra $1,000 or so a month? Again, if you want to be like part time and you want to have employees run your work, I have no issues with that. The issues come when you're the owner operator, you're doing it all, and then you're almost misleading people and you're putting off an image and a brand of like, oh, like we're competing with the guys that are running multiple trucks every single day, but I'm slammed, I'm booked out, like best year ever. Okay, well, how many days do you work? I work 8 days a month. Well, that's not really doing any. any good to anybody. I mean, like
Yeah,
that's
my
like
favorite is I'm 2 months out. I can't even get my customers to wait 2 months.
I can't even get my customers to wait 2 weeks.
I know. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
But
you say 2 weeks and they ghost. It's like, okay, cool, get back to
well,
you.
if it's more than 2 weeks, it's usually something when we finally get to that date that they have scheduled, it's always something comes up and they need to push it out a few more days further because they've already forgot about the date that they set.
Yep.
I just
And
couldn't imagine running an efficient business it's being scheduled more than a month, more than 2 weeks out.
yeah,
That's
unless it's like a big project for like I got a wedding or I got a commercial property that we have to do it on this
yes,
date, like a customer say they budget $500 or $600, and to Clay's point too, I've had this happen this year more than other years where I book a job and then they're like, we'll do it after pollen season. Okay. Well, they find an excuse or like the day before they forget about it and my reminder sends to their email. And then they message me frantically saying, hey, I had an emergency expense come up. I got to push this back.
I've had that happen. That's like the best excuse that customers have. It's very common.
Yeah.
And the the thing with me is I used to get pissed off and ask questions or whatever, but I don't even care anymore. I just click cancel in my CRM and it says jobs canceled, sends the customer the notification. But um, here's the thing, man. I don't I don't book out further than 2 weeks unless it's a big ticket.
Yep.
It's just not worth it to me. I mean, here's the thing: you got a $300 ticket, $400 ticket, whatever, regular house wash. Okay, you schedule that job for 4 weeks out, right? Because the customer wanted to be prepared, whatever. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. Sometimes I just kind of fill the customer out. I'm always doing customer interviews. I've had a lot of conversations with different people, learn that in sales. I know what I got when I talk to them. If I don't feel good about it, I just tell them, hey, I don't schedule them no more than 2 weeks out. Call me about a week and a half. Let's nail down a date. But say you schedule that customer on a Monday. They're the first stop of the day. You have just say two more stops that day, two or three more stops that day. That customer cancels the day before. So then you got from, okay, in my instance, I start my job around 7:30, 8 o'clock is my first stop. So you got from 7:30, 8 o'clock all the way to 11 o'clock with an open window now. You missed out on all that money and all that time when you could have been making money somewhere else.
Fully agree there. That's something I've learned the hard way as well. Because in your mind, you're always like, oh, customer's always right. Work around them, but you have to protect yourself from open schedule. And then too, to your point as well, like when you have an employee running for you, you can't just say, oh, sorry, bud, like I can't pay you. You're just gonna have to sit on your hands until 11 o'clock. Like, what do you do? It's all about like filling spots on a schedule. And like if customers are that way, it'd be like, hey, look, if you don't want to book in a week or my next available, just call me when you're ready. And 9 times out of 10, they never call me again. And it's not like I missed an opportunity. I just didn't have to deal with that headache of them trying to dick me around. Because if they wanted the service enough, they would put it on the schedule. Like I'm not playing this game, and you see this too on social media. There's like somebody will post in a Facebook group. Does anybody know any pressure washers? Of course they know pressure washers because they're actively in these groups and they see every single 5 days somebody posts the same thing, and there's 50,000 people commenting. But these are the types of people that want you to bend over for them and give them the best deal. Those are the worst possible people you can work for. So I've pretty much like not dealt with these people whatsoever. And then in our Wash Rose group, one of our local guys, Josh, he posted about turning away a customer. And he's like, the red flags were too much. I didn't want to push a job in the end of the May, which is a busy season to us, and then deal with him dicking me over. And that's if you're seeing red flags on the front end, it's you got to trust your gut because you're probably going to burn yourself. Whether it be they cancel last minute, or they don't want to pay you, or they make you work for free doing all this extra stuff, it's just not worth it. And like that's how you grow your business, by protecting your time, and then you protect your employees' time, and then you're able to serve the best types of customers.
And my favorite word here, be consistent with your decision making. Say, okay, this is how I'm going to run things. This is how I'm going to do things, and then apply it. Don't just do things on the fly because I don't know. I just see a lot of people making inconsistent decisions with business.
That's a that's
Uh,
a that's a great point there. It's one of those
yeah,
things too. Like you create a standard operating procedure, and it's easy to handle a bad customer because you say, "Hey, miss, this is exactly our this is just how our business runs. Like if you go to McDonald's and you have an issue, they're not going to say, "Okay, we'll do this, this, and this." They're going to say, "Well, this is what the book says. This is our standard operating procedures." And that's how you have to run your business. Because I think customers can smell you if you don't know how to run a business and you're not a real business and you're just they're trying to like dick you over, they're texting you in the middle of the night about nonsense, and if you're responding to that or being unprofessional and you just say, sorry, that's not how we run our business, they're going to find somebody else. They're going to find another sucker. But like to Clay's point, if you just have a one way of doing business with everybody, you're delivering that best quality service and it's standardized across everything. So you're not going to get all these inconsistent results.
100%. Consistency. That's my favorite word.
We're going to have to put it on
That's
a
our
shirt
theme word of the
consistently.
podcast. We're still trying to figure the shirt thing out. We'll get it figured
I'll
out.
come up, I'll figure something out.
I'm sure that we will have a lot of sales off of these shirts whenever we get them. So we're not gonna beat anybody's heads over these shirts. We're gonna make sure that you can get them cheap.
Yep.
We're not trying to make a penny off of them.
Yep. Rather have people have shirts on them that have the wash bros on them than try to gouge somebody to make $5.
It would be a privilege to
A
see a lot
privilege.
of other yes.
A
It would be a
consistent
privilege
privilege.
to see yes. Privilege to see all the guys that listen to our show wearing the shirts when we show up to a convention. But yes, so just make sure that you're making those consistent decisions. Make sure you're running the business to your standard, the standard that you want your company to be. The business decisions that you are making are basically your brand, right? That's providing value to your brand. That's how people view you. Make sure you're making the right ones. Sometimes you're not going to make the right ones. If you don't make the right one, you'll know it. You'll learn from it. You'll grow from it. And I think that's another privilege of being a business owner. It's all about learning. I learn every day. I'm not perfect. I have a great business. I make great money. I have a lot of great customers. We do a lot of jobs. We have a lot of lead flow. We've figured that out. We've nailed it down. Me and Matt's figured it out. We kind of have the same business model, different marketing strategies because we're in the same market in our area. There's about I don't know. I think there's at least 120 of us out there in the same market. I mean,
Easy.
anybody can go out and buy a pressure water. Easy. Yeah. So we are one of the most, I mean, if you've heard of Pat Cart's opened at 3 locations of the Bright Brothers here. So a lot of big competition here in Greenville, South Carolina. We are we're trying to get it done for sure.
We are one of the top markets, especially if you look on pressure washer like per capita. Like we are in the top, I'd say probably five markets.
Outside of Florida, we are huge
Yeah,
here.
like Texas, here, Florida, like this is an insane market. So it's a good problem to have because where there's a lot of if there's a lot of competition, that means that there's a lot of market. So the goal is just to figure out how to get as much of that market as you can without killing yourself or lowering your brand or like we want to focus on like how can we keep this consistent? How can we keep the same customer experience from year one to year however many years we want to work? And that's
Well,
the
yeah,
that's the thing in business. Like who cares what you do in 3 years? Who cares what you do in 5 years? If you want to run a business and 10 years down the road, you got no reputation anymore. Like that's it doesn't matter. It's like this is we're showing up every single day because this is the life we want to build. And anybody can sell you on like, oh, I can make $100,000. You can run Facebook ads and make $100,000 like year one. It's not that impressive, but it's what does your business mean to the community? What does the business mean to you? Are you doing your best to serve the community, and is it able to be like replicated year over year? And to me, that is a flex. It isn't a flex of like, oh, look at me, I went from zero to $500,000 in 2 years, and then now I'm doing something completely different, selling somebody else. It's like that's what is your reputation, and that just boils down to what your reputation is. It's like what do people know you
that's a
as?
privilege.
It's the privilege, exactly. But I think it's a super solid podcast episode we got here because as the markets have flooded with pressure washers in 2020 and COVID era, all that stuff, we're going to start to see that weeding out of the people who aren't caliber and aren't fit for it. So the people that are idealists and they're not applying the things that we're talking about every single day, or they're not putting their best set forward, they're going to get weeded out and they're going to go back to their jobs. So it's why it's really important to be honest with yourself and say, am I doing everything I possibly can do? Actions, not thinking, or what should I do? Don't don't ask people what you should do. Do stuff, figure it out yourself, invest in yourself, and then keep going forward. And like what Clay was saying, there's nothing that can go wrong with investing in yourself because the worst thing that comes out of it is a lesson. And there's so many times where we've spent money and you're like, oh, I'm underwater because I've invested in this or I spent this. This was a bad investment. But then you learn from it and then you're able to climb out of that. And then like a year or two later, you're like, oh, that was like a big issue for me a couple years ago. Now it's no longer an issue, whether it be getting the work completed, doing crazy jobs, having a team of guys, getting out of a cash flow issue. Like there's always sun on the other side. Like we're just going through storms and we're pushing through, and it's a blessing and it's a privilege to be able to do this every single day. And you can be going through a rough patch where it feels terrible, but if you keep your head down and apply what we talk about every single day going forward, you zoom out a year or 2 years and you're going to be in a completely different situation than you were in the start. And it doesn't matter if you're in business for 5 years or 1 year, like it's a big picture game. And too many people play the short term game where it's the how do I make my first 10 grand in 90 days, and they have zero idea of like what their day to day and year to year and what their business future looks like. And it's just as hard to maintain business as it is to start a business. So don't think, oh, it'll be easy once everything's kicked off. Like we have this podcast partially for us to learn, but another reason is like a therapy session to me where we're like, hey, this is what we're struggling through. This is like how we're processing it. And then you go back to our earlier episodes and we're completely different people than we were then in just a short amount of time.
And that's the cool thing. I'd
Yeah.
like to go back at myself, and I lived through the actual lives of recording the podcast. I'd actually like to go back and listen to the first one and listen to it myself.
I think it's cool. You go back and you
Just
look
to
at yourself
yeah,
and then you say your kids have something to look at and watch too. It's like, hey, your kids were involved in your business at that early point, and they're like, well, look at it. Look, 5 years from now when Dad's got $1 million business, this is where he started. This is what he was talking about. This is like his pain points. So it's
like a
cool.
journal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, another cool thing, you brought up my kids. So I thought it was cool the other day. Our kids were in the car with their grandparents and seen one of your trucks on the road and said, "That's Daddy's friend."
Yeah,
It's funny
he's in the
that they knew
mechanic
your
shop.
brand as well.
Yes, and it is. And then to Clay's point too, on Friday I was out in the field doing some work before my seasonal guys come back from college, and uh, and then I had a customer. She's like, "Yeah, this guy was really good, like super like cost effective, and he did a great job, and he listened to me." And I was like, "Who was it?" And he's like, she was trying to figure it out, and she's like, "C something." I was like, "Oh, it's probably C3," and because she was asking me for a quote, and I was like, "Who did it last year?" And then I was like, "Oh, just ask Clay again." He's like, "You can't go wrong with Clay." It's like
Yeah.
I was like, "I'll be the same price point." It's like I if you told me somebody else, I'd say, "Let me give you a quote." But I was like, "No, we're pretty much apples to apples here." So I think you're in good hands.
Yep. Same old business model, just about
Yep,
same
I'm
equipment.
pretty much like, hey, like that's. I was like, he might bump you $50 this year because he did it a few years ago, but you're in good hands there.
Yeah, I always love it when the customers like, you tell them, "Oh, we got a podcast together," and they're like, "What?"
Right. I was like, I'm not going to give you a counter price so you can try to get the best deal between two of us. When I figure out is like I was like, look, I'm not going to give you a price. Like, I'm going to be like, hey, you're in good hands with him.
Yeah, the worst thing we could do is start a bidding war with each other.
Yeah, I'm not all interested in that game. So
No, it's a
it's like,
race
hey,
to the bottom.
I'll tell you, if somebody's looking for cheaper, go on Facebook. There's plenty of people that have no idea what they're doing, and you'll call us back to fix it. So it's like,
And
just call.
hey, I had a guy that wanted to wash a patio and a sidewalk the other day, and I said, "Sir, I'm gonna be honest. We have a minimum charge of $300. I don't think that we usually take on a lot bigger jobs." He said, "So you wouldn't be interested?" I said, "Man, I'd call a part timer. Somebody that maybe in one of the, like you said, the Facebook groups or whatnot." The guy said, "I appreciate you being honest with me. I may give you a call back." Dude called me back an hour later, and I'm going to do a $300 20-minute job.
That's awesome because the guy saw value in that, and that's why 9 times out of 10 is not price. Like you do have your price shoppers who are like fixed income, and they're like, "Well, I just need to get the best deal." But most normal people, once they understand like what the market rate is, they say, "Oh, I like that guy." I had a situation similar to that. A woman called me, never had her house pressure washed. It was a big driveway. I was like, "It's gonna be $1,000," and she was shell shocked. And then 2 days later, she called me back. She says, "Okay, well, I'm ready." So
Yep.
stand your
Believe it
ground
or
too.
not, anytime. Yep. And you got to do that. You can't just let them beat you up. You got to stand your ground. Another thing is just like I say, just be consistent with your decisions.
Yep. Because like
And it's
you'll tell
always,
somebody, and like Clay was saying, I've had that exact situation on a $300 minimum. And to these people, they're like, it's not worth my time to find somebody who might damage my house to save 20 bucks or to save 100 bucks.
and anytime you answer your phone, please understand that you're basically having a job interview with that customer. You're basically going through a job interview every time you have a conversation with a customer because they're filling you out. They're trying to fill out what kind of person you are, what kind of business you're running, whether you're coming out or your employees coming out. They want to know what kind of person they're dealing with, and that means more than the price most of the time as well.
Exactly. And also, it doesn't matter. It's a people game. So I have guys who I've done simple $300 like minimum house washes for, or their rental properties for, and then 4 or 5 years down the road, they get a job, say at Presbyterian College as a facility director, and you're turning that $300 customer that you treat the same way as the big customer, the same you treat them the same way on that $300 like 1,000 square foot rental property that they're fixing to their university that they have the new job at 5 years down the road, and that's a $10,000 ticket. So you never know
with
who you
with
are
never ending
talking to.
work.
Exactly. Hey man, you've always been fair to me. Give me a price. Cool, that's a fair price. I got plenty of work. I can keep you busy. Took nothing
And
for me to treat him any differently. I'm like, yeah, sure, here you go, 300 bucks fair. Do a great job. Show up. Customer I've had for years.
there
And
you
then all
go.
of a sudden you're walking into a big project because it's just that consistency of delivering, whether it's the minimum price or whether it's a big building.
I mean, another great example of what you just said. Heck, I just dealt with a big mentor for the Clemson football team. He's good friends with Dabo, all the NFL football players. You never know where that could go. It's always an interview. How
Super
you
cool.
treat that customer.
Next thing you know, you're cleaning up the football stadium.
Oh gosh, that would be a big one. I'd have to do that in December.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I
Man,
mean, that's cool. Think of the visibility of that.
yeah, for sure, 100%. But yeah, I think it's a solid podcast, man. We definitely nailed this one. Think that something everybody needs to hear. Wish I'd have had. I wish I would have had the Wash Bros podcast when I was first getting started.
Same here. It's one of those things everybody tries to sell mentoring services, everybody sells coaching, but just going through this podcast, you will learn so much and you don't have to spend a single penny. Just subscribe and share with all your friends and then buy a t-shirt one day.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe have a course for you.
Yep. But cool. That's everything I got on my end.
Yeah,
Any
I don't have
last
any
closing
closing points.
statements?
Closing points. I mean, as always, just make sure you follow all of our social media platforms. The Wash Bros Podcast Facebook page. We're on Instagram. We're on all the social media pages: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the big name guys. You can find us there. Follow my personal page, Clay Smith. Follow Matthew Jackson's Facebook page. He has a brand up Facebook page too. He has a book on Amazon. He'll show you here in just a second. If you
Yep.
have any questions or need anything, any emergencies you run into, feel free to shoot us a message. If we see it, we'll try to get back with you as soon as we can.
Yep. I'm working on trying to spruce up our powerwashingcoach.com page where we can have like I'm been playing with like courses and stuff like that just because I know people always ask, they're like, okay, well I don't have time to listen to the podcast. Like, can you help me? Can you hop on a call or can you do a coaching thing? And so we're working on probably like breaking stuff down into like the exact steps that we do every day. So instead of having to listen to a day's worth of podcasts to figure out, you just click, go to a website, go to video, and everything's laid out for you too. There's also, like Clay was saying, the book pressure no pressure pressure washing. This has been on Amazon for a couple of years. We got over 300 reviews. So if you got Kindle Unlimited, it's free. If you want the paperback, it's like $9. So again, I'm not making any money on this stuff. It's mainly just to keep the brand out there and promote the Wash Bros. So it's 22 steps of basic stuff that we talk about in this podcast that helped us get to our first 100K a year. And but yeah, I think it's great. We got good momentum with the show. Probably close to 4,000 downloads so far. We're getting to that fun point where like we can start tracking out our monthly listens, and we get almost like 700 to maybe 1,000 downloads a month, which is getting really cool. So we're able to almost do the amount of downloads in a single month than like the first year or so we've had this podcast. So it's amazing the power of consistency and showing up. Just as we do in our businesses, we're doing it for the Wash Bros, and you guys can literally see us grow this as we grow our businesses. So it's one of those things. We're not just talking bullshit here. Like you can see it through the Wash Bros, you can see it through our businesses, and just listen and follow along and get plenty of value and grow your own businesses just as we do these.
Yes, sir.
But that's everything. We'll drop the outro and hope everybody has a great week.
See you guys.
See ya.